Here.
Mr. Olive,
Here.
Mr. Friesler,
Here.
Mr. Orovitz,
Here.
Chairman Mikowski.
Here. Thank you. I'd like to have approval or a motion for approval for the September 21st, 2021 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the minutes of the September 21st, 2021 meeting are hereby approved. The only matter before us today is Z 813-21, a zoning change from R1 Low Density Residential District to A1 Agricultural District on a portion of the property described as 6450 Corduroy Road, parcel number 44-38921. The owner applicant is Kelly Clark. Mr. Gilmore.
Well, the only thing I can add to this is that there was previous approval for, I believe, Kelly, three horses? Yes. Okay. And the applicant, and Kelly's in here today, asking for it to be changed from an R1 to an A1, which would allow anything associated with farming to be allowed on that property. And as you look at the zoning map, you'll see the darker blue is the R1 property, and the green up there would be A1 property, and her property is the one that's outlined in the red, if you can all see that. The whole idea, I think, is that eventually the subdivision would continue on up and empty onto, what road is that? Corduroy? Yes.
Did we allow for a right of way at some point? We did some.
Well, there is, as you see at the very top,
Throughway, right?
well, if you go back to the zoning map, it shows that little stub street up there. It's not really little, but up at the north end of the blue property, it would allow for a roadway to go in there. See it?
Yes, yes. Mr. Gilmore.
Yes.
The area that's in blue near the top of our display there, then that is the next phase of milligrams.
Yes, I think even though I'm not privy to that information, I believe they changed what was going to be the subdivision to R2, which probably was originally R1. And that plat is just not put in yet or applied for.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that seems to me the way it's.
What are
Right.
the accordion style lots that go horizontal on what would be the east side of this property?
I think it's residential all around. Those would be all residential.
Okay.
Just
Those
our,
look all 5 acres, and they have what looks to be houses more on the road that's to the east, and then vacant land isn't right, but open space.
open space, yeah. Those are simply our larger lots, which are R1 with single-family homes on them. And it's possible that you're allowed to farm the unused pieces of property on there, okay, with crops.
And then what's to the south of Ms. Clark's property? It looks as though there's a parcel there south of her property that's open.
Yeah, I think that's just another R1 property that looks more like a farm.
Yeah, you can see it there.
Right.
The one that's just east of the pond.
Yeah. So they're just our larger lots that are for single family.
So, Mr. Gilmore, clarification, in an
Mhm.
R1,
Yes,
you are allowed to
Years ago,
perform
before you were here.
some agriculture
Yeah, before you
functions
were
as far as farming
I remember.
without a zone change.
you can do crops, okay. You can't raise animals, okay. But the applicant had a previous approval, I believe in, but I looked up in 1990 that gave permission for 3 horses.
And that was a special use? Or?
Actually,
not know
it was,
back then?
it was a Board of Zoning Appeal approval. And apparently back then, that's how they handled it.
How many are you gonna have?
Oh, I'm not gonna add any more horses. I already have
Could
three.
you come to the podium?
Please.
That way everything's recorded.
Just identify yourself and an address.
Kelly Clark, 6450 Corduroy Road.
Thank you.
I only have three. I've had three forever, since I've had it for that 3 months, so I don't plan on having any more horses.
So the plan is not to change what you're doing?
No, just get the benefits of having agricultural, having a farm, horse feed, any equipment you buy.
No other animals?
Possibly chickens, maybe 10 to 12. Nothing more than that.
Well, actually, she would need approval for that.
Yes.
That's correct.
She would need approval for chickens,
Yes.
even though it's agriculture.
Well,
no.
it's not right now. Well,
Right now,
let's
because
back
it's
up
R1.
just a minute.
Yeah, right
It's
now. but
R1,
okay.
she wouldn't be
All right.
allowed, but if it's ag, she would be.
She
allowed.
wouldn't, that's what
And where are the, can you point out the locations of the 2 that we did do in the last 6 months?
Actually,
Jim,
yeah.
I'm asking Jim, he'll find it, but where,
Well,
what Bill Myers had. one
well,
side.
I think it might be easier to go to the zoning map up there.
Okay.
And you're gonna have to help me where Bill's property is. He did 2 of them, I think.
Right on the egg, it's like across the street, north of my property to the west. So his is gonna be the other big plot right there.
Where those arrows are going, if you can see the arrows.
No, the parcel, I think it's.
So the 2 of them that were done,
That's
one,
his.
one for Bill and one for John, those were done,
That
those are right across the street.
one there, and that one there, correct.
Okay.
So that one's a 10 acre and this one's 40 acre.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. What is, you were saying the benefits of being zoned agriculture as opposed to R1? What, can you clarify what the benefits would be then to you?
Tax break as far as farming the property, it is already currently farmed, and it's a crop right now. Actually, when you get horse feed, stuff like that, it becomes tax exempt because you are agricultural.
Was there any talk or consideration of going to a special use instead of just a flat out agriculture change?
No, I applied for this 18 years ago. Noel Graham came here and we had a fight because he wanted to put in his residential and housing. So 18 years ago, I applied for it and I was told I couldn't get it because of the housing. Well, 18 years now, the only thing he's done on that property is move dirt. And I've owned that property since 90, so 30 years.
Clarification from Mr. Gilmore, if a zoning change happens on a property, then that stays on the property even if the owner transfers ownership to someone else.
A zoning change?
Yes,
Yes, the zoning change,
Right.
it's
it's permanent.
virtually there. Well, it's permanent.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Okay,
Unless they.
unless,
Unless
right,
we change it.
right,
unless they-
unless there's
unless
a
they come to this
request to
body
take it
for a
back.
change.
And in agricultural, we can have anything, even including horses and chickens, but also any number of livestock, pigs, whatever,
Right.
whatever that would be. Okay.
Mhm.
And this is right next to a residential on both sides. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Seeing no one else here, Mr. Briesler?
I have a question. So I totally get what you're doing. I mean, before he said it, that was kind of my thought process, and it was more just kind of processing the questions, but it obviously is residential zoned all the way around it, where I think that is different from what Bill did to the north. I mean, does a special use not still give you the tax benefit? It does not. How many acres is that? It's probably not enough to be CAUV, is it?
It's 10 acres. It's 10, a little bit over 10 acres.
What is the minimum for CAUV? I think it's more than that. Because that's obviously tax benefit too for the farming standpoint. That's the whole thing I'm kind of concerned about, is not you. It'd be in the after of you. You decide, this is too much property to take care of. You put it for sale, and the next person says, I'm throwing pigs on this property. You got, residential all the way around. Just being honest, that's the one hesitation that I have is after you, what happens then? That's the tough part of a zoning change, is unless that next person came back to us and said, hey, I want to zone it back to residential, it's ag, and it's to the discretion of the owner then, what they want to do.
Nobody, I mean, I know it looks like this, but there's really nobody on top of me at all. I mean, we got neighbors, but you gotta walk a distance to get to them. So it's not like your regular residential where people are on top of it.
And that could be the case today. Obviously, this board needs to look to the future for, years into the future. So,
And in the second phase of Graham Village is a hypothetical too, right? I mean,
Right on.
Correct.
I do think I've seen a plan. I guess I didn't realize it wasn't. I thought I saw a second phase on that.
There may have been one at one time.
Okay.
But they would have to go, I mean, not that it's important for this meeting, they have
Start
to come
over.
back in front of the
Right.
planning commission. for
Gotcha.
approval.
Yeah, I respect what you're doing. That's the one concern I have is after you, what's the next person do with that property?
Really, if you look at John's and them, I mean, they got cows right out by the road, and it's closer to that than mine is. Actually, the property that you see for the Graham subdivision, the horses aren't even on close to that property, really. It's just a slight portion of it that they can go back on, the rest of it is all farm.
Behind the ponds all farm.
So it's not like their cows are actually closer than my horses.
And which parcel is that?
The one, right across the street from mine,
John
John's,
Myers.
yeah, the 40 acre.
Oh, okay.
Yet you don't see it as agricultural now because it just got changed.
Well, the fact that
It is, and, Mr. Chairman,
Mayor?
and Greg raises a point of mixing agricultural, and people have that fear. The sound bite is always, oh, they could put a hog farm in there. That's what people scare people with. But if it isn't exactly a residential neighborhood, all those lots are non-compliant lots that we call bowling alley style lots. They'd all defeat the width to depth ratio. So it is kind of a unusual, undesirable area of how the zoning even gets to the R1. So it's not a real shocker to add agricultural in this instance in this area due to the fact that all the lots are shockers then, and remember Graham Village put in the subdivision, and it was kind of a nasty battle back then. I was here. I have the luxury of going back about 30 some years here. I started as the young kid here. Now I'm the oldest timer here. But it got a little nasty. But what was ironic at the time is they were projecting their subdivision to be that country effect, but they were fighting her on making it country. So it was more of almost like a personal battle than actually they cared that she had horses there. That really wasn't relevant. I was here, I sat through it. I was outvoted though. I don't see it being a shock to that area.
Well, the room has nobody in it.
Huh?
There's nobody here to oppose it. so.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that's a-
The other thing I would have.
they certainly were the last time.
I would have more of a concern if it were bigger, because then you could have a commercial establishment come in to put something in there that's not there. With it being, I mean,
True.
not that 10 acres isn't big for a city boy, 10 acres is a ball field.
Hmm.
But if it were 40 acres, it would be more inclined for somebody to come in and put in a commercial operation.
And we just approved one of
Or
them.
across
We
the
just
street.
approved a couple of
Too.
those.
So, it's hard, and I was on the opposite side of Mayor Safarian and all of you, because I represented Noel Graham in the formation of that subdivision, in the fight with the Board of Elections. So I'm very familiar with that, and seeing that he's not here, I owe no loyalty to him, and I think this is farmland to me.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot's changed with that.
absolutely.
Like I said, we bumped heads fairly severely back then, and now we get along fine. Everybody,
Like a fine
everybody
wine.
changed.
Like a
Yeah.
The rear of all those residential lots that he referred to the bowling alley, is that just all, do they kind of just let them grow up? Not that it matters, I'm just kind of nosy from the aerial,
They're all
just kind of natural growth.
trees, yes.
And see how that,
That's almost a buffer. too.
those were all agricultural lots.
Yeah.
And we allow somebody to get up to 5 splits. So those people took and sold off their farmland and made the 5 splits. And sometimes they only allowed 5. But back in the day, they would split one of them bigger to one of their other family members, and then they would get 5 splits. And then the next one could get 5 splits, so you could make those bowling alley style lots. And what it does is landlock a bunch of land in the back. And that creates more of a problem for us than that agricultural parcel.
I just want.
I do want to disclose to the board that Bill Myers did call me. Bill owns a couple of the parcels up above, and he's in favor of this change as well. So I think Bill would rather have us have a blanket agricultural district anyway, so.
You think? I wonder why.
But he was in favor, and he's not here today to voice that. I told him I will relay his concern or his support for Kelly with that in mind, so. The floor is open for a motion to close the public hearing.
You know, I just friendly suggestion. You don't have to have a motion. You can say, is there any objections to closing the public hearing?
I love that.
Yeah.
Are there any objections to closing the public hearing? Hearing none, public hearing is closed.
See how easy that was?
That was perfect. You learn something new every day from you there. Floor is now open for a motion on the passage of this request.
I would move for acceptance of Z 81321.
Second?
Roll, please.
Mayor Safarian?
Yes.
Mr. Friesler?
Yes.
Mr. Olive?
Yes.
Mr. Orovitz?
No.
Chairman Mikowski?
Yes.
Good to go.
Good luck. After 18 years.
Congratulations.
So, well, Kelly,
Now,
just
Okay,
for your
ne-
information, 30
patience
to
is a
45
virtue.
days, it'll come before council.
It does go to council.
Yeah.
And then it requires a simple majority to pass. Or a simple majority to fail. That's it.
And
We
we
can
are
do
hereby adjourned for the year.